Welcome, wing shooters. This is Lars Jacob of Lars Jacob Wingshooting and Wild Surroundings. Today we're at Peaceable Hill Farm, owned by Glenn and Judy Simone in the beautiful Champlain Valley, Shoreham, Vermont. It's a place where I do all my instructions and all my gun fittings, and of course this is feather. This is all about shooting birds. Today we're going to talk about footwork. Footwork is something that's very, very important in field hunting, because unlike clay shooting where the presentation is predictable and we can create a stance of stability, we need to be able to react to the unpredictable, which means that we need to learn a stance of mobility. So today I'm going to show you how to dance with a bird. So there's a big difference between the stance that you would use in clay shooting with that predictable presentation and the stance you need in bird hunting for that unpredictable presentation where we have to react to the unpredictable in an efficient manner. So let's say right here, this line of the ridge of the roof of this barn is a right to left presentation of a clay target. If I was a clay target shooter, then I would approach right about where I would address where I'm going to break the target and come back to my focal point and move ever so slightly, mostly at the core of the body. So I'm utilizing a stance of stability. In bird hunting, it's a stance of mobility. I have to know that I can move to that spot even though I didn't know that's where the bird was going to go. I have to react. So what I would do in that case is learn how to pivot off of either foot. The whole concept of this is based on Robert Churchill. And a lot of it has been modified by me, what you're going to see today. But it is the best footwork, best stance, best everything you need for being successful in the field. Think of it as this. There's a reason why gun turrets are built the way they are on tanks and on Navy ships. It's the most economical and efficient way to change direction is in a pivot motion, not in large stances. So imagine your base is the diameter regulated by the width of your shoulders. All right, and that's what you need to stay in. Every time you change direction or every time you move on that unpredictable bird, it's within that base that you move. You don't move beyond that base or you're going to lose balance. And remember, everything you do here at the body, if it's big, it's huge downrange. It gets magnified many times over. So we got to make these movements efficient and compact, and then they're just the right amount of movement downrange where we're taking the shot. So for instance, if I had this right to left presentation, I would use a stance anytime that the dog's on point or anytime it's getting birdie or even anytime that I'm in a relaxed position. I always set myself up with the same foot stance. It's narrow, it's inside the width of your shoulders. There's a small lead with your left foot, talking as a right-handed shooter. So all you left-handed shooters, just think of it in reverse, think of it in a mirror, but I'm going to talk as a right-handed shooter. So I'm leading with my left foot. And now I got a bird that's going right to left. I want to move with that bird in that pivot motion. So what I would do is pivot onto my left toe as I move with the flight path of that bird. As I react to that bird as it comes by, passing shot of a dove, duck, whatever it is, I'm releasing my right heel to accommodate that line, keeping my shoulders square to the target and giving me many more degrees of swing. Okay? It opens up your swing and allows you to move freely with that bird. This is what I mean by a stance of mobility. We got to know that we can move in any direction that bird takes us. If it's to the left, then we learn, even though I'm a right-handed shooter, to pivot over my right toe, feeling that release of the left heel, feeling my body weight over the right toe. But here's where it gets a little difficult. As a right-handed shooter, as a right-handed golfer, it's almost natural to be able to drop that shoulder slightly and keep your upper body weight over that foundation, that circumference that's regulated by the width of your shoulders. Going to the right for a right-handed shooter is a little bit more difficult. So there's a little more conscious effort to drop that left shoulder and drive it up into the bird so that you keep your upper body weight over that foundation. If I don't, if I just move with it, then I'm going to slide. And as you can see, now my barrels are starting to curve down. And if I shoot at this, I'm going to be behind and low. Or I might come up and feel off balance and lift my head. And then I'm going to be high and behind. Either way, it's a miss. So this is something you can practice without shooting the gun out in the field. You can do this by utilizing these lines right to left, pivot over the left foot, left to right, pivot over the right foot, feeling that arch or tightness in the small of your back. All right, so now we have a more aggressive angle, a more acute angle of a bird. This is a quartering in shot, common with a duck or dove, very common in driven bird shooting, and of course on the occasion again that hooked bird when field hunting. It's just going to be taking the same movement as I showed before, but being a little bit more aggressive, a little more extreme with that movement. So I'm going to be a little more exaggerated with that releasing of the heel and pivoting over the left toe. If it's a bird that's out there a little ways and it's going to take me beyond that, then I can redirect my foot and then push off utilizing that same Churchill method. Another situation when we're bird hunting where we have that unexpected flush where it came from. We may have a dog on point in one spot, we're addressing the dog on point, but the bird ends up flushing at a bit of a distance away from that bird, and we have to learn how to address it. Basically, this is all about readdressing that wild flush. And I'm incorporating this into today's show because it still involves footwork. So for instance, if we utilize the lines, the vertical corners are showing a line of an escaping target, escaping bird flushing off the ground and flying up and away. And this corner over here on my left is where the dog is on point. So I'm going to address that dog on point, ready for the flush, but now the bird flushes over here because it may have ran away from the dog or it was a long distance point. Who knows why, but there's always that possibility it will happen. Unfortunately, the most common is for people to be mounting as they turn to address that flush. This ends up being a luck shot, which is not consistent. We are intersecting lines. I'm moving into a gun mount as I'm approaching and trying to acquire that bird. So I have a bird that's flying straight away, but I have a barrel that's moving left to right, and that's an intersection of lines that doesn't give us any information, and it's just basically one of luck. So to give me consistency in that shot, I want to address that bird before I mount the gun. So I'm locked on over the dog's nose right here, ready for the flush, but it happens to come over here on my right hand side. Then I'm going to have to address that bird and then come up so that the gun is doing exactly what the bird is doing as it flushes. It's drawing that same line. There's a couple of ways I can address that bird. I can address that bird by utilizing a lot of that same footwork coming onto my right toe, or I can actually reposition and address that bird and then come up. Both of them put you in the same position of drawing the line that the bird is flying on while you're mounting the gun. That's when we get the information. That's when we hit the cheek, we can squeeze the trigger because we've already acquired that target and we've already drawn its line, and that gives us a much higher success rate. So again, learn to address before you mount, either by pivoting onto the right toe in this circumstance or moving the feet within your base. That base, that's the width of your shoulders in a circle around your feet. Never go beyond it. And just make those small little movements at the feet that make very big adjustments out of the distance. All right, this presentation is common, and this is a very simple little bit of footwork, but one that needs to be practiced. Many times, you'll be looking square in the eye, a grouse, a quail, a pheasant that's coming right at you, or even worse, the possibility of getting impaled in the forehead by a woodcock's beak. And we feel rushed because it's coming right at us. Hooked probably because of a flushing dog that's working back into the wind towards you, and it flushes a bird right at you. We feel like we have to take that bird in that short window. We panic and we try to take him at a very close range in front of us because he looks like he's doing 90 miles an hour. But actually, if I were to redirect 180 degrees, if that bird comes towards me and I redirect 180 degrees, now I've tamed that bird dramatically by taking him going away. So he's coming towards me, I bring the gun back up to port arms, turn around, drop it to ready position, and I take that shot on that bird. He's suddenly gone from 90 miles an hour to 30 miles an hour. Much, much easier presentation. Worth practicing all the time. Well, that concludes today's show, and thank you for watching. We are here at Peaceable Hill Farm. This is where I do my shooting instruction. You can contact me through wildsurroundings.com or larsjacob.com, or you can check me out on at wildsurround and at Lars Jacob Wingshooting on both Instagram and Facebook. Also check out Peaceable Hill Farm, peaceablehill.com, here in Shoreham, Vermont, where I do my shooting instruction and where we also have some nice field hunts. I do live bird instruction as well as my clay shooting instructional area. I have a fitting area here as well. I specialize in fitting side-by-side shotguns, and I specialize in teaching methodology best suited for side-by-side shooting. Thank you for watching the show, and cheers.